It's never too late to start over. A story of resilience, purpose, and a second chance at life. Chapter 1. Rock Bottom. The rain drizzled lightly against the window pane of the cramped motel room. Thomas Grant sat at the edge of the bed, staring blankly at the peeling wallpaper. He was 47 years old, broke, jobless, divorced, and alone. The echo of his own thoughts was louder than the traffic outside. Just 3 years ago, Thomas had been a successful corporate executive, living in a penthouse and dining in five-star restaurants. But ego, pride, and a series of bad decisions had cost him everything: his career, his marriage, and eventually his will to fight. Now, all he had was a duffel bag with 2 shirts, a laptop with a cracked screen, and a journal he hadn't opened in months. That night, he scribbled in the journal, "June 1st. I'm tired of losing, but maybe this isn't the end. Maybe this is where I begin again." Chapter 2. The First Step. The next morning, Thomas walked 5 miles to the nearest library. He didn't know what he was looking for, only that something had to change. He searched. How to start over at 40. Finding purpose. Rebuilding your life. A TED Talk caught his eye. The power of small steps. That one video shifted something inside him. He decided to make a list. Wake up at 6 a.m. every day. Walk for 30 minutes. Read for 1 hour. Apply to 3 jobs daily. Write 1 journal entry. They were small things, but they gave his day structure, something to hold on to. Chapter 3. The Coffee Shop Miracle. 3 weeks later, while applying for jobs on his battered laptop at a coffee shop, an older man at the next table leaned over and said, "I used to have that exact laptop model 10 years ago." They laughed. The man introduced himself as Daniel Kim, a retired entrepreneur who had started over after bankruptcy at 50. They talked for hours. Before leaving, Daniel handed Thomas a card. "I mentor people who want to rebuild their lives. Call me if you're serious." Thomas called that night. Chapter 4. The Mentorship. Daniel didn't give handouts. He gave direction. He made Thomas write down his values, regrets, and dreams. He challenged every excuse. He pushed him to forgive himself. They met every Saturday morning at 7 a.m., rain or shine. "Discipline is love," Daniel would say. "It's how you show love to your future self." In 2 months, Thomas had landed a part-time job at a bookstore, started blogging, and began speaking at local meetups for men rebuilding their lives. Chapter 5. The Voice That Inspired Thousands. One night, on a whim, Thomas recorded a video on his phone. He sat in front of a blank wall and simply spoke. "Hi, my name is Thomas. 3 months ago, I was living in a motel room. Today, I have hope. Not because I won the lottery, but because I stopped waiting for rescue and started saving myself 1 step at a time." He uploaded it to YouTube. He expected nothing. By morning, it had 12,000 views, then 100,000, then 1 million. Comments flooded in. "I'm 42 and just lost my job. Your story gave me hope. Please share more. I need this." So he did. Chapter 6. The Rise. Thomas committed to 1 video per week. He didn't act like a guru. He just shared what he was learning. Books, routines, lessons from Daniel. His channel grew to 100,000 subscribers in 6 months. He was invited to speak on podcasts, panels, even a local news segment titled "From Motel Room to Motivation Coach." Thomas used every dollar he earned to build a small studio and support a mentorship nonprofit for people restarting their lives. Chapter 7. The Letter. 1 year after that rainy night in the motel, Thomas received a letter from his daughter, Emily, whom he hadn't seen in 5 years. "Dad, I saw your video. I cried. I'm proud of you. Can we talk?" They met in a quiet diner outside the city. There were tears, but also laughter. Rebuilding trust would take time, but now there was a bridge between them. Chapter 8. Giving Back. 2 years after his rock bottom, Thomas launched Start Again Academy, a free program for people over 40 who had lost their way. He brought in mentors like Daniel. He hosted workshops on purpose, mental health, and resilience. One of his most watched videos was titled, "You Are Not Too Old, and It Is Not Too Late." Chapter 9, The Full Circle. On June 1st, exactly 3 years after that journal entry, Thomas stood on a stage in front of 2,000 people. "I thought my life was over. But the truth is, that motel room was a doorway, not to shame, but to growth, not to failure, but to becoming real. I lost everything I thought mattered, and found everything that truly did." Thunderous applause followed. Among the crowd was Emily. Beside her, Daniel wiped away a tear. Final words. Thomas continued to write, speak, and guide others. But he always reminded his audience of one thing. It wasn't a miracle. It was small steps every single day. The climb back up starts with standing up, and you can do that right now. And that, perhaps, is what made his story so powerful, because it was real, because it was possible, because it reminded us all, it's never too late to start over.